Good afternoon again. I'm just going to talk today about influencers on Instagram. There's been a massive crackdown by the authorities and the regulators over them being honest about whether they're being paid to promote their posts. Bit of an age-old problem. I don't think it's nothing newsworthy to me. I think this has gone on for a while. There's lots of them have broken the rules before. I understand the need for it to be regulated and for them to be honest with the consumers. Having said that, I think anybody out there who sees a famous person putting a post on Instagram, shaking a big product around, pretty obvious it's an ad to me. I don't need to be really told it's an ad. I think we've all grown up enough to really know that. So I do question whether it should even need to be forced on. And maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but if people are stupid enough to not spot it, then fool on them. It's no different to something being on TV, even with product placement. Do people really think that an Aston Martin on James Bond is there just for the goodness of the hearts? Come on, really? Same with influencers. I see a post of somebody famous waving a pair of Nike trainers around. I wonder, they're getting paid? Of course they are. So this over-regulation and this need to be overbearing within the industry. I on many of my videos, I don't get embroiled in things that are political. I don't really get involved in all that stuff. I just purely comment as a wider thing. But on this one, I do think we do live in a world where we're a bit mollycoddled and a bit over-regulated in some ways. I think there's a need for it if it's involving children, and other sensitive subjects, then yes, absolutely. I do think they need to be honest about it, and I do think it needs to be regulated, and I do think we need to tread very carefully. But for the rest of us as grown adults, a bit of common sense would be good, I think. But again, if you want to bring that back at me and go, hey, Andy, it does need to be because of X, Y, and Z, then, fair enough, maybe that's the case. But we do live in an adult world, and, Instagram doing all this rule-breaking influencers. Again, I'm reading the article here. I'm sick of influencers asking for this and blah, 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 blah. Well, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? Again, one of them, the pieces in this article talks about France passing new laws to protect child influencers. Absolutely agree with them on that front. I wouldn't want my kids when they were younger being influenced by what I deem as the wrong things as a parent. But having said that, I think we all get exposed to so many media messages out there in the world in so many different ways. And if we want to get really into it, the news channels spread lots of stuff that we may or may disagree with. I've done another video on QAnon. So we're all exposed to things. And I think we do have to take some responsibilities as adults, not necessarily children, as adults for filtering it ourselves. That's why we're adults. So again, I think there's some common sense. If people get offended by something, then maybe they need to think why they're being offended rather than stopping other people saying things. But it is an interesting debate, and I don't think it's one that's going to go away. As I've said on the QAnon stuff and previous ones, I think online gets a bit of a battering at the minute. It's always been the same for any type of advertising or marketing. And I think it's also been the same for anything where anybody steps out and says anything that somebody else disagrees with. I think that's an age-old problem. But yeah, be interested to hear people's thoughts on the whole influencer, getting involved with some kind of COVID thing, influencers and the influence that they have in advertising. So yeah, let's have your thoughts.